Chaos did open up as a plus 105 underdog. He has shifted. He is actually a favorite now. Minus 130 with a plus 110 comeback for Carlston Harris. And this is a really interesting fight because on one hand, Khaos Williams has the bravado. He kind of has that it factor. He shows up in the suit. He said, I want to snatch this man's soul, David Goggins style. Like, this dude he's going to be different after he leaves the cage with me. Carlston Harris, on the other hand, AJ, he's chill. He's doing his thing, right? He's from Guyana or wherever he's from. And he didn't look great in his last fight, but the man has a very deep repertoire, I guess you could say, of being a mixed martial artist through and through. And we have a couple intangibles that I want to break down before we actually get into the numbers here. So give me your assessment on this matchup right here. What stood out to you?
Man, I mean, this is one. I'm glad that that Khaos Williams flipped over to the favorite side. It seems like a lot of people are finally on the Khaos train. But on that other side, man, the slick moves that Harris can provide, this is going to be an interesting matchup to really see how the game of MMA has really evolved. Like if you got the bruiser coming at you in Khaos Williams and you're not able to pull something off, it's going to be a very long night right here.
I think one thing that you have to take into consideration here too is the style of fight, man. Khaos Williams not on paper, but on the eye test, technical, right? He'll sit there, even though he gets a little crazy, he's more technical, and that goes to show what kind of striking Carlston Harris has. Harris, I saw a tweet, bro. I saw a tweet today, bro, and it was saying that Carlston Harris punches like he's throwing dice, like he's shooting dice, man. Like just everything, just big shots, right? Like big, crazy, loopy shots. And I was like, yo, when you watch back the tape, man, you got a point. Carlston Harris is a little bit of a wild man, but you can be a wild man when there's no consequence of you getting into the mat, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the biggest things. He can throw that crazy shit, like you're saying, and because of his submission threat, like this guy does not mind being in that situation.
Yeah, Khaos Williams, if you take a look at the takedown defense, it's pretty impressive, man. 80%. Doesn't get taken down a lot. I think if you actually look at his entire UFC resume for official counting takedowns, I think he's only been taken down twice. And in that fight, he did lose. So it's something to take note of. But I think that for Khaos Williams, he's the type of fighter right here who's going to try to walk you down, land the big shot. But I think he's going to be really reliant on the KO. And I don't know if Carlston Harris will be able to match the volume of Khaos Williams either. But one way that Carlston Harris can mitigate the volume of Khaos Williams is by grappling him up, saying, hey, I'm not going to let you strike with me. So where do you see that entry point, though? Because Carlston Harris is not a D1 wrestler right here, man. Just because you got fantastic jiu-jitsu doesn't mean you can get the fight to the ground. How does he get this fight to the ground?
I think it's going to have to be utilizing Khaos Williams' pressure against him, right? Let the strikes come, be defensive, be slick, try to cut some angles, and then when he gets close, grapple him up, grab him, trip him, whatever you need to do, as long as you're not the one getting clobbered and then going down, right? You never want to be pulling guard, but if you can get him, lock him up somehow, jump on his back, whatever the case is, I think making that dirty, getting close inside on one of the cage walls, that's going to be Harris's best way to get the takedown.
That's it. If you look at the numbers right here, takedown average for Carlston Harris, he averages 2 takedowns a fight. So it's not like he can't get the fight to the ground, right? It's really just more a matter of how is he going to do it against a guy like Khaos, where he's going to have to close that distance, and I say close the distance, I mean, they have pretty similar reach right here, but you don't want to get hit by the big bomb of the Ox fighter. That's just the reality of the situation, right? No takedowns for Khaos Williams, so it's not like he's fighting, it's not like he's going back to, what was his last fight right here, Jeremiah Wells. You're not fighting a dude who's just trying to wrestle you, keep you on your back for the entire fight. So I like overall the mixed martial artist. I like the fighter that has more tools just from a pure value perspective right here. I do think though Khaos Williams, if you're looking at who probably should win this fight, probably him, just because of how steadfast he could be with that boxing. But let's take a look at this, man. Intangible. And I don't have a graphic to pull up. I wish I did. But word on the street is Khaos Williams, little extracurriculars here, AJ. So before we jump into the numbers, it's been evident. The man likes to make money, and I can never fault a man who is trying to make money. But one note of late recently is if you go to Khaos Williams' like Instagram page, right, you see a lot of real estate deals. You see him with some plates doing like farmer's carries on a treadmill at Planet Fitness. But then you see Carlston Harris working with like a licensed nutritionist. You see him, working on his grappling, working on his boxing, working on his training, like a full real fight camp. So when you have other activities going on outside of the cage and you have other occupations as well, basically when you're not a full-time fighter is what I should say. And that's not a knock at all. That's just a matter of you got other priorities making other money. How much do you factor that into this right here? So before we give these numbers and assessments, you have to bring that into account, right?
Oh, you have to bring that into account, Derek. I mean, I forget which exact boxer said or which coach said it, but you don't get up and do your miles in the morning if you're sleeping in silk sheets. It's for real. Like if you are living a comfortable life, right? If you are successful and you have other ventures, that's the whole reason people get into fighting, is to be able to provide for their family because they have no other options. Well, when those options are presented, getting punched in the face doesn't seem as good, doesn't seem as necessary anymore, even though that the limelight is there. Money at the end of the day is what these people are fighting for. So I can see, where this would come into play, especially, I mean, we know Khaos Williams is a dog, but what, like I said, what happens when that dog doesn't need to be there anymore?
That's it. And I don't even know what we got here. I'm just trying to browse really quickly on Khaos's Instagram and just see what do we got. I need this after our weigh in. All right, we don't got nothing too spectacular right here. We don't see too much nonsense, so you can't make too much of a knock right here. But like I said, man, my man is over here. He's trying to make money. He's trying to do his thing. Khaos Williams, you got to love the personality. Let's see, anything fantastic? Nah, nothing too crazy right here. So listen, we're gonna lay off of that just for a little bit. But the point is, through and through, like no matter how you cut it right here, you have to take into account the fighter who has dedicated their life to purely fighting. Carlston Harris seems to be that type of individual. So now that we break down the numbers right here, with the line flip, you got to love Carlston Harris at plus money, plus 110 right here. It's not tremendous value by any stretch of the imagination, but it is plus money, and we like that. What do we think about a submission from Carlston Harris? Khaos Williams gets a little overzealous, gets caught in the web that is Harris. Plus 450 seems a little crazy to me to not have some juice there, but if you look at Khaos Williams, man, and you look at the two losses, you got a decision, and then, split decision. He's not a guy that's getting finished. What do you think?
Yeah, I see it, Derek. I can see the path to a submission, right? It's within the realm of possibility for Harris to get that plus 450 submission. I just don't see it happening easily, right? Unless it's something right off the jump, right off, they're still dry. It's the first couple of minutes of the fight. Something crazy like that happens. I can see you cashing big on that right there. But as the fight progresses and with how technical Khaos Williams is in the fight, I don't see that being the most likely outcome right here. I'm looking at a prop. I'm looking at that plus 300 decision for Harris.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to ask, what do we think about a plus 300 decision? Clearly you like it, given that the man is finished the fight has finished over his last 10 fights. 8 of the 10 fights have gone to a finish, man. This is not a guy who goes to decision a lot. That's what I was saying. I was like, all right, how is it going to take place? If he can get Khaos down, maybe he could submit him, but he could do a lay and pray too. You know what I mean? If Khaos is too stubborn to to give up, you know what I mean? You could just win out on points, man, but it's a matter of who does the real damage. So as you could see, plus 115 TKO prop for Khaos Williams. Even if you're a Carlston Harris better, do you say, give me a Khaos Williams slight hedge on a money line at minus money? Or do you say, let me just give that plus 115 a little bit of juice? Because I do see that as the primary path to victory for Williams.
I do see it as a primary path to victory, Derek. And 2 of the losses in Carlston Harris's last 10 fights were both by finish, both by TKO. So it's there, and Khaos Williams has the abilities to finish it. So I do say throw a little stack on there if you're feeling a little zesty.
Oh, zesty, huh? only loss in the UFC for Carlston Harris is against Shavkat Rakhmonov. So, give the man a little bit of credit. Of course, Bloody Water Podcast consensus pick is the man who has more tools in his tool belt. It is Carlston Harris. So let's see what gets done. But that's going to be the consensus pick. Cash it, folks, at Pure Plus Money. All right.